So the three of us will do a quick recap on Citrix Synergy. Their main events that was in Orlando a couple weeks ago. So just about me quickly, not that you care.
Quickly?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, according to Alex, the most important thing, I drive a car that has no engine. I don't know how that's possible.
Yeah, he's basically the only one who drives a Lamborghini.
That with no engine.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Well, you drive it with another car in the front. So you just
Okay, that's good. Okay,
The hardware doesn't matter, it's all about the software, man.
that's it.
And I learned that your son is responsible for, well, changing the engine. every
Yeah,
now and
well,
then.
he is, yes. He's the official mechanic. So.
tell that you're the longest MVP. Everyone knows what MVP is? Microsoft MVP, right? Yeah, Microsoft MVP here, right?
Explain on the icon.
Yeah.
Most
That's it.
professional.
Yeah.
You're collecting the titles.
Yes, I am. I'm trying to. So then we have Alex here.
Come on, for the viewers or your video, can you please, because he did the same.
Like, who cares? It's different. So no one gives a shit about him. And he's really cheap, okay? If you didn't see that yet, you will see today.
Hey, where's the VMware expert? I'm also VMware expert now.
Ah, sorry.
Couldn't make the cut.
Okay, the only good thing in his life is making top 4.
Yeah, so basically this event is also called Pub Forum back in the days.
Yes.
And pub because of an Irish pub, so we would call it Pub Forum, so that we were going and drinking, but now it's...
Okay, this one forget, but okay. So his Twitter, his website. So Benny. Okay. And he's a V expert as
Wow.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The expert as
You
well.
are the young MVP.
Wow,
Only
Yeah,
5
I'm
years.
the second oldest
Yes.
now.
very good.
Yeah. So he will talk about GPU because he likes GPU.
Oh,
So
yeah.
his presentations are about GPUs.
Yeah.
Right, Benny?
Yeah, now start also talking about Azure Remote App. So that's
Ah,
a new,
okay.
that's my new
I'll add
avant-garde
that.
chief. Yeah,
Hey, just to make the MVP in the 13-year plus, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So if you knew Sean Bass, they were always together, like Batman and Robin. He's the Robin.
on my side of the phone.
Okay, let's take a look at what we're gonna talk about. We're gonna resume the whole thing, okay? Because it was a 2-day event and then some sessions on the side. I have to be honest, I haven't watched some of the sessions because I was drinking with these guys. But the stuff I remember, that's what I try to put here. And you're gonna thank us later because we saved you $5,000. Okay?
Why
But
not
the
5 grand?
conference and everything, yeah, it was $5,000. The only thing that you would get for the $5,000 that you're not gonna get here today, there is a black mouse they gave.
Yeah.
So $5,000 for a mouse, it's sort of
It's
expensive.
X1 mouse.
The X1 mouse.
Yeah. So I don't know if you tried the X1 mouse, but
It's very good.
do they actually know about the X? Do you guys know about the
Works with an
X1?
iPad, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the
That's
X1
Did you
mouse
hear about the
is.
X1 mouse?
I have one
Oh,
here.
wait.
I can quickly show if anyone wants to see.
So just explain what it is.
Don't
Yeah.
drop the file.
I believe that people know what a mouse is.
Oh, it's not the X1 mouse, but it's.
It's a mouse. This is what it looks like.
No, just explain.
No,
the
someone
mouse.
has an X1 here. It's black, okay? The only difference is Citrix developed it and they embedded into the receiver the Bluetooth stack that allows the mouse to talk to an iPad iOS application.
So basically, you can use a mouse in.
Not
That's
to,
it.
not to all iOS applications, only to receiver.
Yeah.
So
well,
only stuff that is running inside of receiver can use this mouse.
Yeah, now with other apps.
So
as
it
well.
still runs in
Are there?
Windows, is
Yes.
that what you're trying to
Yeah.
Are
say?
there more apps? Because at the beginning,
Yeah.
people were completely confused because they thought now they can run all iOS apps with a mouse.
Yeah, and that's not the case.
That doesn't work that way.
So the idea is you connect to Citrix and apps and desktop. If you have a mouse, now you can use your iPad with a mouse.
This is why we Surface users didn't get it.
That's why I didn't get
So
it.
like,
Either.
okay, Bluetooth mouse connected
Yeah.
to a tablet. Whoa!
Some people were going crazy on Twitter. Oh, we got this new mouse, and I'm like, seriously? Like you are all excited because of a
No, but I
mouse?
think it's cool that you can have something like that in iPad.
No, it's cool, but
my iPhone.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
But if it doesn't work that way,
Yeah.
yeah, on the iPhone, yeah. It has to be the latest, like iOS 8 point something,
Yeah.
and certain hardware, otherwise it doesn't work, but it's still. And they gave it away at Citrix, so you paid $3 for the registration, $2 and you got a mouse, so that's a good deal. For
Yeah, but I
Citrix.
think it's a good marketing idea.
No, it is.
Giving away the mouse and
Lots of
allowing
people use iOS to connect to Citrix.
Yeah.
So if you can have a mouse and external monitor, sure, it helps.
Yeah, it also works in GoToMyPC as well.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
good, actually.
I think now with Zen Mobile, you can actually, because I saw that running, you can actually allow other applications to use the mouse. But I don't know if it's gonna make it to the market or not. 'Cause Apple
Well,
is
now
not
they
good
sell
at
it for
it.
$60.
Yeah, now they're selling, well, the mouse, yes, but I mean other applications using it.
but it
I don't
also
know.
works as a normal mouse, right?
Yeah, it does work, yes, on any machine.
Yeah.
But only within the session, by the way.
No, on any machine.
No,
You
any
can use it-
machine
you
has
can
a
use it
regular
with a-
mouse.
with
It's
a-
a
right,
Bluetooth
right,
mouse.
okay.
You can use it with a Windows
Successfully
laptop
followed.
because it's a Bluetooth mouse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so basically the key messages on day one, I'll just go through all of them.
Give it time to sink in.
Yeah, the first message was probably like a sudden one. We'll love Xena.
Yeah, that was the biggest one, like, you know, Citrix tried to kind of kill Zen app a couple years ago.
All the time.
Yeah, and then Zen Desktop was the biggest thing they were pushing. And even bloggers like Brian, for example, a couple years ago, he predicted VDI was gonna take over, and I called it bullshit a couple years ago.
Sean
And-
Best says VDI will eat Cell Desktop launch next year. It was 2012.
And as I joked last year, if you saw AWS, Amazon, with their offering, if you saw Azure with the remote app, you know, RA, it's all RDS based.
Yeah.
So really, 2014 was really the RDS year and not VDI. So VDI, people realize it now that it's just a niche. If I have to, I will use VDI.
So in the Citrix project, you're primarily using Zen app or Zen desktop?
Zen desktop.
Zen desktop here.
So Zen desktop is correct.
Okay. So this is dominating in your projects.
Kind of.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So, prior to my leaving Citrix, we saw large accounts, particularly in the financial services area, move away from XenApp and stand up Zen desktop environments for a protected memory function, so that people could work productively, not impact each other. They get their desktop, they coordinate the applications within the context of the shell, so you got workflows that could drive it. I mean, large implementation, 30, 40,000 seats.
The reason is storage, because in the past storage was not solved. So the price you had to pay when you introduced VDI environments was high, was major impact. Today with the storage technology that you have with the dedupe and everything.
Yeah,
So
well, it's interesting, the conversation I've gotten is that it's about worker productivity. People launching, whether it's published desktop or launching applications, it's that context of somebody doing something they shouldn't, consuming the compute resource for the VM, and now the sessions are now
Yeah,
a
but
whole
you
bunch of
know,
stuff, right? That's been the common story.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a funny one, because if you think about, first thing, the OS layer became much better at protecting resources. Most people never use it on 2008 R2, you know, all the fair share, you know, for RDS and all that, like, some people don't even know that exists.
well, it works amazingly
Yeah.
good
Yes.
now.
So
Yeah.
right now it's
I
good.
agree.
The other funny thing that I always find it, you know, funny, it's people say, oh, it protects the memory. Well, everything runs under one hypervisor.
Yeah.
And then you do a VMware, you know, a vSphere update, like the last one they had to pull off, and then you fuck up everyone. The same
It
way
happens.
you would fuck up like RDS, like so.
Claudia, don't say so many bad words because I'll have to edit all the video for hours afterwards.
Okay, sorry. Okay, fuck you, Alex. Fuck you again. And fuck you one more time. Okay, it's fine. Okay, but that's a good point.
You
but-
create the wrong impression or new visitors. So just, go ahead.
Sorry, new visitor. But he's gonna pay for beer with it. He's gonna make up for my presentation.
So that's not E2E, that's only Claudio.
No. But that's a good one, like, but today I would say people realize that VDI is not a silver bullet, so RDS is there.
Yeah.
If it's a task-oriented work, you know, like a call center, the guys run the same app, you know, then why do VDI?
And I mean, it's a lot cheaper. Xenop is a lot cheaper.
Yes.
It is, and the density is better, no matter what people say, no matter what you throw.
Yeah.
If you wanna throw a Nutanix box, you can do 300 people in one box. Sure, if I can do 300 people on Nutanix, I can do 3,000 people if I do RDS versus
And
VDI.
there's also licensing, so.
Yeah,
we're gonna-
also licensing.
We're gonna cover that in our final session when it's about.
Yeah.
One of the
server
approaches me and Rick
2016.
took when we worked
Yeah.
was VDY. Tell us why
VDY.
we need
Yeah,
the
it's
whole
actually-
We
desktop.
stole it from Ruben. It wasn't original. We totally stole it.
Ruben.
We're expert.
Actually, that came from Simon.
Good, then he stole it from Simon.
All right,
We
as
stole
long
it.
as it wasn't the Atlantis guy, we're good.
Yeah,
VD cry and VD
VD
cry, VD Y, so we're doing that all the time, so.
well, the message, resuming, Citrix realized that they screwed up and they decided, well, they understood now, they understand that XenApp is the bread and butter for them. That's what brings them money at the end of the
No, but
day.
that's also like the future.
Yeah,
You know,
and they were
all
talk-
about the app, Zen app.
The future of the past day.
Oh, I told this on my presentation in Copenhagen. Nobody believes me.
Internally, we always have this conversation
Oh, yeah.
about the applications instead of the desktop, that people don't care about the desktop anymore, they want the apps. And 2 or 3 years ago, nobody understood, but today, we're getting there.
Because
We're
in the
getting there.
past, everybody always had a desktop.
Yeah, today, people have multiple desktops because now they have their mobile devices and they get used to have multiple desktops that they're using, even though you would not call it a desktop on your mobile phone, but in fact it is. And, but in the past, they only had one business desktop, and that was a Windows desktop, and it confused them that somebody told them, hey, one day you're gonna have multiple of those. And today, this is a fact.
Yeah.
And so people are not so, it's really different because in the old times, they complained if you moved an icon only by a pixel. Today, they don't care because they are used to switch context between mobile devices and local devices and remote devices and all
Yeah.
kinds of form factors, having the big screens on one side and having the very small screens with the mobile devices on the other side. But people got used to that. A couple of years ago, that was not the thing. So,
And one thing that is odd as well, it's at least from my perspective, I think it's odd and funny at the same time. And I have seen this put forward as a problem by mostly IT people. And I don't know if you guys saw that, but with 2012 and the new, Metro, whatever, the new interface, I have seen lots of pushback on the interface, like, oh, we can't do RDS 2012 because of there is no start menu, there is no what. But my experience is exactly the opposite. When I go deal with the users, and I do that a lot, I go talk to the users. They come to me and they say, well, it's different, but I can work. I got the hang of it like in a week or whatever.
Oh, you have users who like the Metro?
I have.
Wow.
Well, I wouldn't
they
go
don't-
as far as
not
like.
They don't care that
They
much.
don't care, but then you go talk to IT. The IT guys are the ones that are saying, oh, our users, they want a start menu. And I'm like, seriously? Because I just talked to the user and apparently he doesn't give a shit about the start menu.
I think
And you are telling me you wanted a start menu because your users wanted a start menu? And it's really IT that is holding back on the whole 2012 R2, RDS, and my experience with users, as Benny said, like, they don't care. Because now you have the iPhone, the iPad, the Android.
migrating users from Office 2003, 2007 to Office 2010, 2000, what's
2013.
13?
The
Yeah,
latest.
that was a lot harder than converting them to the Metro user interface.
Yeah,
because
we went through
it
whole
took them-
training sessions
oh yeah,
about the damn ribbon.
It took them forever to understand
Yeah,
the
yeah,
ribbon.
exactly. Yeah.
Today,
Right.
everybody uses the ribbon, and even other
You don't
ISVs
use the
there.
ribbon?
Huh?
You don't use the ribbon?
I do.
What's the ribbon?
And other software vendors also are using this metaphor as the ribbon. And so everybody got used to it. And
No, but what's the ribbon?
it was harder
Is that
to move them from the old style to the ribbon.
Ah, right.
But it's not so hard to move them to Metro, like Bobby is saying.
I don't
And
know
actually,
why you guys-
this ribbon kind of stuff, it's actually stolen from this desktop publishing software, which works good for professionals, which really do.
It was internally at Microsoft, it was extremely disruptive, the thing that they did, because they did something that was revolutionary inside of Microsoft at the time. They listened to customers. That was weird because they had the user interface designers, they always had their idea, what they wanted the user interface to be. And then suddenly they said, hey, why don't we just find out what people click most? And those items they click most, we put on the very left side in the first pane of the dialog boxes. And guess what? This is exactly what they did. So it's statistics. They just receive this information back from people that are clicking and activate it that Microsoft can, well, gets the response from their interaction with the system. So they had a huge database and they collected this information. So they went back to the user interface designers and said, you know what, we don't care what you say. This is the order in which we want to have those menu items to show up. And as I said, this was disruptive internally because the user interface designers, they said, oh, no, we really thought about that. And they said, no, don't think, just do. And now they're doing a lot more of that stuff, though, so they're asking for feedback and implementing much faster than they ever did before.
What's the cube free?
Oh, yeah, let's go through the
can-
list.
yeah.
The cube free, I was even surprised to see Mark presenting that. It's, it's a piece of crap, really, the application. If I tried to download, I downloaded, I tried the application, I can see, what it does. Do I like it? Not really. What it is, it's basically like a workspace aggregator of, let's say I want to work here. I launch Cube Free, and it will list, for example, all the offices that I can rent here. It can show on its own social network, people that are around me, that are part of me. So it's really like a...
So it's like a Citrix Yammer thing.
Yeah, it is. That's basically what it is. What it means, it is, again, a piece of crap. That's what he's saying. I hate Yammer, and Microsoft uses Yammer because of the MVP. Of course, I don't use it, clearly.
Oh,
but-
the Yammer. I never started to use that.
Yeah,
Nobody does.
Don't do it. Yeah.
Nobody does.
So again, you can give it a try, you can take a look, but it's just a minor iOS mobile application to help basically working, being productive according to Citrix. Why it was on the keynote, I have no idea. Then Zen Server 6.5 SP1. Everyone thought Zen Server was dead, but Citrix is trying to resurrect Zen Server.
It's called Dead Man Walking, isn't it?
Yes, The Walking Dead, that TV show. That's Zen Server, but
And now they say it's stronger than ever before. Really?
I don't. Well,
Every product is,
It's
otherwise
true.
don't build a new
It's
product.
stronger than ever before because it was never strong. So anything better, it's stronger. So that's why it's stronger than ever before. I don't know if people here use Zen Server. I have some customers that again, they wanna suffer.
And they want to charge for it now.
I think there's about 3 things on that list that people really, 2 things people really use, and 1 thing people will probably go into.
Yeah. Well, Zen Server, I can tell you one thing. Again, Zen Server, I always joke, it's like Microsoft Exchange, okay? Exchange is good. I have been working with Exchange for since the first release ever. It's great as long as it doesn't crash. Because when Exchange goes down, it's like Titanic going down. Everyone goes with Exchange. So Zen Server, it's the same thing. If you don't touch the thing and it's running, man, it's rock solid. But then one day you decide to press one button on Zen Center and that's it. The whole thing crashes, goes nuts. So yeah, it's interesting. Then they talking about Netscaler 11, the next release of the
Who's actually
Netscaler.
using Netscaler? Do you guys use Netscaler here? No, you don't even know what Netscaler is? Netscaler?
Yeah, do you guys know what the Netscaler is?
Oh, when TMG went out of the market, we started selling Netscaler like.
Well, the Netscaler basically it's a virtual or physical appliance that sits. It basically does the typical like load balancing. You want to load balance a web server. Does the ICA proxy, so when people connect from the internet
It's an edge
over
device.
SSL.
Edge device.
Yeah, it's an edge device. Then you hit the Zen apps and desktop backend through the Netscaler. And does way more like than that, can do some really...
Web server load balancing, for example. Web
Yeah, but can do some
applications.
crazy stuff that most people don't even realize with this. It can face all the, for example, all the Outlook, all the Exchange services.
Yeah, that's true.
So when you are authenticated, it can pass all the credentials back to the back end. So you never see another prompt for credentials ever.
But typically it's something where you not talk to the desktop people or the server people, it's more like you're talking to the network people.
Network
Yeah.
security.
Yeah, it's a network
and
device at the end of the day.
Yeah. So competing with Cisco and
Yeah.
competing with, what's the?
F5.
No, Cisco,
F5,
It
F5.
does
Cisco's
quite-
using it
It
now.
does quite well in the European markets.
Yes.
And, so I don't know.
Well, now the thing is, everything that, if you're considering Zen Mobile, you know, the mobile device management or mobile application management, if you are doing that, if you want to SSL access to the Citrix backends and apps and desktop, you need a Netscaler. I had one customer a couple weeks ago, they are all F5s, because they are stupid and crazy, but regardless, I told them 100 times, don't put the F5s in front of the Citrix. And then they were having all sorts of issues with Citrix, like people being disconnected and all that, and I'm like, listen, it's your F5. And we put traces, you know, on the network, and we capture everything. It was clear it was the F5. But still, they didn't want to, you know, see the obvious. Until you read the Citrix article, there is an article that says if there's an F5 in the middle, we do not support you whatsoever.
But
And
it's
that's
clear-
when they realized it, well,
But it- also within the CTP group, there are now two like fractions. Like one is more the networking side, and they're dealing with
Yes.
Netscalers, and the others. I think you are one of the only people who does both.
yeah.
But most of them are either on one side or on the other side. So I don't do any Netscaler projects. I have no idea how this thing works, and I'm.
And it is complex.
It's
like,
complex,
It is
so,
crazy stuff.
yeah.
Like,
Visit my core.
But if you have the knowledge, it's good business.
for sure.
Yeah. So-
I would say it was good, it's not so good anymore.
Oh no,
because-
no, it's
No.
if you know Netscaler
Yeah.
well, like
Yeah.
you can keep you busy forever.
Yes.
It is a giant commercial head end. When I was at Citrix, I believe it ran the Apple iTunes cloud. And it was we would have the internal conversation when Apple would roll out new iOS patches, how fast they were able to deliver that data. And it was a big part of the push technology delivery that's happening.
Yeah.
Netscaler drove all that. I think they also drive the Amazon cloud.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And as
This
far
is
as
a massive, massive scale.
And as far as I know, most of the global porn websites
Of course.
run on Netscaler.
Because
so.
porn is something that's better when it's faster.
Yeah. I don't like slow
It is,
porn,
it's true.
man.
I mean,
Like slow
Okay,
porn.
this is gonna be posted on YouTube.
Oh, sorry. I have some
most,
porn videos that I like.
most people
They're
know.
paying
But
customers do it.
another thing is that Citrix never says that for obvious reasons.
yeah.
For obvious
Yeah.
reasons, because
Yeah.
it's not good for their marketing. On the other side, it's video streaming is such a big thing in the internet, and Netscalers are those devices that are used for most of those heavy load video streaming
So
websites.
one thing that can be helpful is they sell it in two capacities. They sell it with features with a license, and they sell it with bandwidth as a license. So
Yeah.
you can talk about that a little bit, how you buy a 7500, and I don't even know the numbers anymore, and you can walk it to a 9500. Share some of that
Yeah.
info if you could.
Yeah.
So
Well,
what's new with the 11? We have to keep on time.
Yeah.
Yep.
the 11 is not even like out, and it's NDA.
Coming.
So they're.
But you can sign up for the beta.
Yes, you can now, yes. And again, one thing is, the Netscaler itself, like if you want to try, it's free. You can get a VPX, the virtual one that runs on Hyper-V, Zen server, VMware, anything. Download free, get a free license. You are limited on bandwidth to 5 megabits. But it's still for like home use, a couple people, like the damn thing works just fine.
Are they still drawing production limit at 300 people for the virtual appliance? What's
No,
that like?
no.
What's-
That's
So
only a
it's not on the
marketing, it's only a
IC
marketing
proxy.
number.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And on the ICA proxy, tunneling ICA traffic, there is no limitations. You're gonna hit the bandwidth limit, there is no user limit.
But I think for Citrix is one of the most stable business streams.
for
That's
sure.
Oh,
that.
absolutely,
So-
without question. The market leader there, they're fighting for it.
Actually, they have only 2 products, but
Yeah,
Yeah, and the license, as he said, one is bandwidth limit. Like if you want to upgrade, you can just dump a new license, it's a text file, you load to the device and now you have more bandwidth available. And the other one is feature set, like depends what you want to do. Most people use the NetScalers just to proxy Citrix traffic, but you can do more. You can do the SSL VPN, and then you need a license on a per user basis. If I want to, it comes with 5 out of the box.
And as
But if you wanna
Adnan
more-
said, you also use Netscaler those days to replace, if you ever had deployments with the Microsoft TMG,
Yeah.
that's the official
The
replacement now.
Cisco, the SSL VPN, if you want to replace, if you want to replace the Cisco, the CCS, no, the CSS, the load balancer and GSLB.
Yeah, Cisco will actually sell it on their paper.
Yes.
Yeah.
They'll finance it for you.
yeah,
they'll
they
give
have
you
a
SKU.
partnership. Yeah.
Yep.
So cool network device. Then they talk about Melio and the workspace pod. This is really interesting from my end. The idea is they're jumping into the hyper converged, space, and I find it interesting. The Nutanix guy disappeared, but the bottom line is it's becoming, from what we can see, it's becoming a commodity.
Is that going to support Zen server?
Yes, oh yeah.
Already does.
Yeah.
No, but I mean,
It's all Zen
primarily
server, yeah, for now.
only Zen server.
Well, the menu actually, it's like, there is a Windows VM that runs, as far as I remember, on anything,
Yeah.
but now they're making everything,
So can you just say in
integrated.
few words what it does?
Well, it does hyper, the idea is with the workspace pod, you're gonna buy a box from now, from approved vendors, Dell, HP, whatever.
It's like Avo Rail.
Yeah, exactly, and everything is in the box, but from
Generic
Citrix.
hardware. And
Yeah.
Yeah, well, like
Software.
Atlantis is doing.
Yeah.
Atlantis is doing the same thing, generic hardware.
Yeah, putting the entire Citrix stack on
Yeah.
top of it and sell it as an entire box and creating their own user interface to make it simple.
And everyone is aware of this, like,
Yeah.
do you guys know the whole hyper-conversion and bullshit that people...
I mean,
No, the idea
the
is,
software that people are selling
Yeah.
with free hardware included.
the idea is I buy these boxes, I don't buy SAN, I don't buy anything else, I just buy these boxes and I have my computing, my storage, my networking, everything in one single box.
Yeah, it comes pre-installed and pre-configured and
Yeah.
easier to manage and easier to set up.
And if you buy two, like, they see each other, then they create this cluster, you add more, you just get more users on your solution, that's
Stuff-
the idea.
Stuff that took you weeks to put together, you can do that within a couple of hours.
Yeah. Now
So that's the
the thing
idea.
is Citrix is jumping into that space, so that's why I'm saying it is becoming sort of a commodity.
Yes.
You can get from anyone. At one point, probably it will be free. Even Microsoft is going towards that.
You have
So-
the desktop
They're
365
doing
stuff in
its
here?
partners already.
No.
Yes,
At
yes.
the bullet point?
Civil.
So they have another solution that comes from the low end, it's called Desktop 365. And basically it's from,
ViewSonic, I think.
it's ViewSonic is the hardware, but the ViewSonic hardware is not so important. It's the software, it's Maximum Bit is the company, I've never heard of this company before. What they do is they developed PowerShell scripts that allow you to install all the Citrix components automatically, including the NetScaler things. So what you do is you sort of run this PowerShell script and you run it from one machine and it deploys everything to another machine that is attached to the network that has either Zen server already running or Hyper-V. And so you set up an entire Citrix environment within 1 hour. So this is amazing. Typically it took you forever. It includes the Zen server configuration, Zen Center is configured. It includes the NetScaler setup and configuration as a virtual appliance, Zen app, Zen desktop, deploying users, policies, everything. Everything is included. And they have a nice web-based interface to configure everything. Multi-tenancy is built into the system. So you can do stuff that really takes you weeks to configure manually just by clicking through a wizard and start the install. The ViewSonic stuff is only because they're using the Intel NUCs. So we were talking about the NUC platform, these little devices that you have from Intel. They are using them to deploy proof of concept environments. So most people thought, wow, is Citrix now suggesting that we're using those NUCs as our workhorses in the data center? No, because those NUCs are only good for 2 or 3 proof of concept users. The beauty of the Desktop 365 idea is you can even deploy it to these boxes in the end.
Yeah.
That is the beauty, because you try it out with a NUC, you do a proof of concept at a customer. If you're a consultant, you leave this NUC at the customer. He has 2 or 3 users that try it out, and in the end he says, wow, this is great, I want to have that. Now I want to have it for 1,000 users. So you buy the equipment for 1,000 users, use exactly the same scripts and deploy it. So you can reproduce the deployment again and again and again, and it scales to up to 100,000 users. So these maximum bit people, those are the ones who have the brains. ViewSonic, they only provide like the sample hardware for the NUCs, that's
So
all.
3 years ago, when I was at Citrix, I worked with Rez, and we put together an orchestration tool that did all of that.
Yeah.
And Citrix basically, well,
They didn't
work
get it.
there anymore. No, they didn't get it. They just don't. They fought orchestration tooth and nail, and because they did not want to admit, and they refused to accept that there's complexity in the orchestration and the build out of these tools.
And
so, are they committed to this?
No, not really. I had long conversations with
This is
Darshan,
marketing
who is the CEO
Yeah.
of the Maximum Bit folks. And I thought, because I was under NDA, testing it and everything, and I thought they'd do a major announcement at Synergy, which did not happen.
Yeah.
And so Darshan, he worked on all that for the last 5 years, because scripting the Citrix stuff is really hard because the PowerShell interfaces are not stable. Setting up the Microsoft stuff, that's very simple because everything is PowerShell enabled. So you have the hydration kit from Microsoft that does that since a couple of years. You just click and say, whoa, all the configuration comes from an XML file. You just put all the basic configuration information in the XML file, and this XML file is consumed by the PowerShell script, and it just deploys entire Microsoft infrastructures. This is how they build their lab environments again and again. And now Citrix is able to do the same based on this Desktop 365, and Darshan, he figured out how to configure and install Citrix components using PowerShell. And I asked him, that was blood, sweat, and tears. And he said, don't ask.
Yeah. When we did it with the Rez product, and I installed it remotely, what we would do is we would just send the MSI to the customer.
Yep.
And we'd say, install this on the virtual machines that you want to deliver the framework.
Yep.
And then those machines would register, and we would just put in the configuration items, hit the button, and it would install within their data center.
These Maximum Bit people even go further because they have a contract with Microsoft which allows them to give their customers the Microsoft images. So all OS images are included, which is illegal if you don't have that contract with Microsoft. So they figured that out. So everything comes out of the box. I have this software with me. I have it on my laptop. It's amazing. It's all the base images of all Microsoft OSs. And so you really, literally, you click the button and everything is already there and installed.
But one thing that I want to mention, I don't know if the other guys got it. For me, it's because I was involved very early, like I didn't mention that to people. But when Citrix was working on the Workspace Cloud, like I was doing some stuff with Juan, that is the SVP that runs the whole Workspace Cloud under him. And that's why I want to mention the Workspace Cloud, because it ties into that and it explains
it does.
in a way why Citrix is not pushing the Office, the Desktop 365. You can understand that. The thing is, the Workspace Cloud, they automated everything. So the idea is now, if you want to run all your Zen apps and desktop, all the back-end stuff that is required, this guy, the Workspace Cloud, takes care of that. So it can point to your on-premises stuff. But what people are not seeing is, this is in a way the first step towards something like the Azure, pack, that now I can bring everything that I do on Azure, I bring to my data center. So for me, now it becomes irrelevant where the thing runs.
Yeah.
When I need something, I do exactly the same way here or I do over there. Workspace Cloud does everything Desktop 365 does.
Yes. So there's an overlap, very clearly.
Exactly. And the idea is if they bring Workspace Cloud now to on-premise, it means I can deploy a Zen anything environment by going to a fancy web page, next, and everything happens.
Which hypervisor does it support first, and are there any customers using it? Did they have a customer reference in Synergy?
For Workspace Cloud?
Yes.
Well, now the Workspace Cloud, again, it's just an internal thing where they run in the cloud. Citrix gives you that service.
Okay.
So there is nothing available for on-premises.
Okay.
But as
What
you
are they
can
running?
see where the boat is moving towards, this will make it to on-premise.
Yeah.
And it will simplify deploying Citrix, like, 100-fold. You'll be able to go, as I said, nice fancy web page. If you haven't tried, you can sign up. Like if you go Citrix Workspace Cloud, you enter your email, they create an account, and you're gonna see.
Did they reference a customer or dialogue about this?
No.
Okay.
It doesn't even run properly at this.
Well, it runs the apps.
It runs one
Try,
of-
give it a try. You're gonna see what I mean. You can have an environment up and running with the apps that you need, literally in seconds.
If it works, one of
Well,
the,
for me,
In the
it worked. I
control
don't
plane,
know.
they're trying to convince customers to use Azure to run the control plane and run the workhorses wherever they want to.
They are moving towards being completely agnostic.
Yes.
That's the goal. They don't care what you're gonna have.
Yeah, but the
If it's
first,
gonna be Azure, AWS.
the first thing they did was based on
Yeah,
Azure,
on
but
Azure.
basically they
Yeah.
don't care. That's correct.
Daniel, is this the orchestration part of the Skellig Freematch position?
Part of, yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
where that
Oh, yeah.
orchestration comes from?
Yeah. So it's really cool stuff, I think, the Workspace
Yeah,
Cloud.
this is the thing that I was most excited about, except for the desktop 365. I like that because I do a lot of scripting, so I thought this
Yeah,
was cool.
it's- yeah.
But this has got the most future.
Yeah, this takes that to the next level. It hides everything. Again, it's a
It hides
nice
everything.
work.
That's
Hides
always,
everything.
yeah, but it's almost
if you're dealing
also a
with the
problem.
Citrix stuff,
It depends.
this is clearly something you should
Yeah,
look
I
at.
understand. Yeah.
Because this is gonna be the future where your
Yeah.
infrastructure you built today on premises, where it's gonna move to. So this is gonna be.
But for some
Citrix
customers, if it hides everything, they are okay with
It
it.
all depends on the customer.
Exactly.
And it's US only now, as well?
Yeah.
I think so right now, but
Same with
again,
the Melio stuff is 2016 and onward.
Probably,
So
yeah.
it
Yeah.
they announced a lot of stuff that
oh, for sure.
nobody can do for the
For
last
now,
next
yeah.
next year.
Okay, move on.
So then there's a feature pack now with the frame hawk and everything coming out.
but
Set
there's
apps and
no,
desktop.
no information yet publicly available, feature back to you, as far as.
Well, they mentioned at Synergy the frame hawk and some other things.
Yeah.
So better UDP, laws and everything handling.
I mean, we have access through the CTP program, but it's early beta versions that we get from them.
Better technology.
So on day 2, what they talking about, some stuff that is cool, some other things that, who cares? Okay, here's resuming day 2. Now they launched their own user group platform, like VMware has been doing. Now they have their own. My cugc.org, I think that's the website. If you like the user community stuff, you should do it. Then there is the app disk, so now everyone is talking about layering. I have my applications as like it could be app v package, whatever it is, the technology. But the idea is now I am trying to deliver a gold image with the OS and the applications layered somehow. VMware has their
Cloud volume.
their app volumes that came from the Cloud Volumes acquisition. Then there is the application isolation with the FinApp. Microsoft has the App V. You know Unidesk, probably, you've heard the name. And now there is an attempt from Citrix. It's still vaporware,
Yeah.
beta, alpha,
So what
whatever.
are these companies popping up everywhere?
No, it's not so easy.
So it's not so many companies that can do that. Yes, they are popping up because those companies who know how to write filter drivers, they figured, hey, we can do layering with our filter driver technology, but there's only like 2 handful of companies in the world who can write stable filter drivers. Absence, for example, they could do it, they completely missed the boat, so they're out of the game. And while others, like Kevin Goodman from FS Logics, who was the founder of RTO, so he got it immediately, so they started working with this layering stuff, Unidesk, and so they have those filter driver developers, and they do it. So I don't see more companies popping up from nowhere, because it is hard to do.
It is a crowded market like right now. So Citrix is of course doing their own because they want to have an answer to like VMware and have something, you know, because at the end of the day, this is important.
But do you think it's gonna take off?
No.
I don't know about that.
No, for a very simple reason, because the best filter driver developer they ever had is Joe Nord, and Joe Nord moved on to security because he was so frustrated from everything within Citrix. So if you let your best filter driver developer ever move on, well,
I like Joe, but listen.
Internally, Citrix
the
internally.
Citrix stuff, it sucked big time.
Sure, but inside of
Holy
Citrix,
shit,
he was the one-eyed among the blind.
Oh, I understand that.
Hey, Joe Nordfact, he built the computer that's in the Cassini satellite that circles Saturn. So when you see Cassini pop up in the news, that is Joe Nord.
Yep.
Yeah, but still, what he did for the application isolation, it sucked balls. Like, oh my
Go
god.
on, move on. Next. Let's get.
Okay, so
Real quick,
yeah,
on the user
let's-
group thing, I talked to the Citrix folks here locally. For the local folks, who would be interested in getting, like attending one and getting that started here in Hong Kong?
What?
You can start
User
a new
group.
Citrix user
Ah,
group here in
Citrix
Hong
user
Kong.
group.
Yeah, so I talked to the Citrix folks this week
Okay.
and mentioned, you know, maybe we could resuscitate it essentially. I mean, in America it sucks, but we're trying to build it back up. In Europe it's awesome. You know, I know one of my counterparts, Kay's, he's not a counterpart, he's much smarter than me, but yeah, he's running the show over there in Deutschland.
No, in Holland.
Only Holland? He told me he's all Europe, man.
No.
Deutschland?
Dutch, yeah.
I know what Deutschland is.
So Netscaler Unified Gateway is just renaming the Netscaler Gateway, that is the ICA proxy, but adding more functionality, so that's why it's called a Unified Gateway now, because there will be more services served by the gateway. Cloud Bridge Virtual WAN, it's just basically you can add several, let's say, providers connections to the outside and create one virtual connection. So that's why it's called Cloud Bridge Virtual WAN. The concierge is something really cool, but you know, it kind of goes away from the main Citrix business. But the idea is you now have like live support built into the product. So you can
Mobile
do
device, basically.
No, this will be brought actually to Zen App and desktop as well.
Yeah, but they showed a demo.
They showed on mobile devices. You can have like a, you know, like a FaceTime experience when you have an issue with support. So you can see the guy, you can talk, like built into the
So
product.
basically, you have a
go-to
mobile
meeting.
app.
Yeah, it is.
You have a mobile app on your iPad, and you do not know what to do on a mobile app on your iPad, and you call the support representative, and he can see the screen of your iPad, for example, or Android or whatever.
Shares the mobile device screen. And that is part now of the GoToMeeting as well. So the GoToMeeting uses like AirPlay to, it's a funny way they did. It does like an AirPlay connection to kind of itself. So it mirrors the screen there, and then they grab the screen, so you can actually see the screen of the mobile device of the person that is, you know, in a meeting. Then the OctoBlue Workspace Hub. The OctoBlue is like the Internet of Things. Like it's hard to tell and explain what it is. You have to see the keynote, the demo. But basically, it's like a workflow I played with OctoBlue. It's like a canvas that you have objects that you just drag and drop and you build workflows.
It's like Visio.
It's like
Basically, it's
Visio,
Visio. You drag and drop objects on it, but instead of the standard protocols that we all know, like TCP or something, they are able to deal with all those device
Yeah,
from
with
homes.
anything, like your Nest, thermostat at home, your Tesla car, your whatever, you can do some crazy things.
So the demo was they were collecting information from Twitter. So if you were sending different Twitter hashtags, they were collecting that information, creating the workflow, controlling a Philips Hue light bulb, and change the color depending on what the hashtags said. So if you thought something is really good, it was more green, and if you thought it was not so good, it was more red and all that kind of stuff. So they're connecting all different things, the Internet of Things.
One more, I can give you two examples. One I created myself because of my daughter. I live in Canada, so we have snow, a lot of snow during the year. During the winter, what happens is the schools, they post on their website by 6:15 in the morning, they post something that tells the community, the students, if there will be buses or not. So it's either a green, traffic light, buses are running, yellow, they are delayed, red, no buses because of the snow, like a snowstorm. So what I ended up doing with OctoBlue, I created a workflow that checks the page every morning. Whatever I see there, I then connect to my Philips Hue lights at home, on my home, and the light in my daughter's bedroom beside her bed, her lamp, it turns either red, green or yellow by 6:15 in the morning. So when she wakes up in the morning, the only thing she does during the winter, she looks to the lamp. If it's red or yellow, she goes back to bed, she sleeps.
You just have to.
Because she knows there will be no buses, like there is no point going to school, there is a snowstorm.
So it's like just picking up data.
Yeah,
That's it.
A bit like
it's machine-
Delph.
it's machine
You know, Microsoft
communication.
Delph.
Well, another real example in a company. Now, because of the whole integration, you can do things like when you print a card, an access card. So let's say a new employee is gonna come, okay? I'm creating the card. As soon as I tap the card into the reader to activate the card, the OctoBlue can start a workflow that goes into the Citrix, provisions a desktop for that guy, goes into AD, make sure his account is all good, all created on the right groups, and everything happened with the tap of a card.
I think the most important thing here is that the OctoBlue makes it possible without having too complex schemas how to create it, but every person can create
Anyone.
the logic of
Yeah.
what is done when something
Yeah,
happens.
I could do it, I have no
Basically, this
problem.
is great technology. So I
That's
was
the GUI,
Just
there was
put
a
in Citrix
tool
wallet.
that they had years ago, Citrix had years ago, that was a GUI-driven
Oh, the
workflow.
work,
Workflow
the studio,
studio.
yeah.
So this is the
Studio.
rebirth of Workflow Studio. This is also like Res Storefront. I see the Res Storefront type, the orchestration
Yeah.
pieces that are happening.
But the idea is here, it's big time
Mentioning
orchestration.
Yeah,
yeah.
anyway.
Yes, yes.
Storefront.
And it's great technology.
Oh, yes.
And in particular, Chris, the founder, he's a very
Right,
interesting guy, and he does very energetic presentations and everything. So I thought this is the coolest thing ever. The question I was asking myself, what is Citrix going to do with this technology?
Kill it.
Well, wait, that leads
How
to
are you gonna
this.
make money off this then?
What do I like, okay? Well, that's one thing I like. What I like it from Synergy, others can comment on that. This is what I like it. The CWC, the workspace cloud is really cool. ZenApp being extended, now you have a couple more years to get out of 6.5. The concierge, the support is really cool. The conversion, story is really nice. It's really nice. And then OctoBlue, the automation of everything. What I don't like, and sorry about the gold piece of turkey. What I don't like here, well, the OctoBlue I like and I dislike, and why I like and I dislike. And that leads us to the overall direction of the company, okay? The problem is Citrix, if you think about it, they just acquired Grasshopper, do you know that?
Yes.
So Grasshopper, it was a company, if you need like a 1-800 number, with the menu that you call, and then, press 1 for sales, press 2, whatever, that's what Grasshopper did. completely automated, you could create like a 1-800 number with all the fancy flow online, cloud-based. Citrix bought Octoblue. So they're buying all these like bleeding edge or you know, not really core business related things. So that's, in a way, that concerns me.
Yes.
Because if you're too bleeding edge, it's like, as I was telling people yesterday, it's like racing a car. It's good to be in the front, but if you are too far ahead that you are not seeing what is behind you, that's a
You know,
problem.
there's something called shopping therapy, so they just shop because they're nervous about something.
I'm
Yes.
not sure.
Probably that is.
Competition,
Yeah.
breaking
Yeah.
startup.
But
Yeah,
it's,
but competition, they know where they want to go. If you look at VMware, if you look at Microsoft, they know exactly where they want to go. So they have an overall strategy.
Yeah.
This is our direction, and you look at the acquisitions and the activities that are happening, and you say, oh yeah, this is in line with their strategy. Now Citrix, they don't have any strategy.
Yeah,
They
Citrix
they
is
didn't
kind of
tell us what
crazy
their
now.
strategy is, and we have the impression they are randomly buying stuff.
yeah.
Well, if
I
you-
wouldn't be surprised
if you look
if
at the
tomorrow
product
they announce they
portfolio-
bought like Michael Kors, you know?
Well,
They
if
bought
if I were still a Citrix shareholder,
Dress good,
and
man.
I'm seeing the change at Cisco and Chambers leaving the company, if Cisco starts to say, hey, we don't like that NetScaler product, like Microsoft says, hey, we don't like that Zen server product, we're competing with them very hard, but I think that's a very fragile position to be in.
Oh yeah, and
They are not
uh,
setting their own courses.
And the thing is with Microsoft, the relationship with Microsoft is disrupted
bad
because
now, yeah.
because now it's Satya and there's no
Yeah.
connection between
Yeah.
Satya and Mark T.
Yeah.
And there was no word at Synergy about what Citrix is going to do around Server 2016 and Windows 10. I mean, all the announcements were a week before at Ignite, and Citrix did not respond to that, not a single word.
There were 2 Zen server sessions, and they're supposed to be making a huge push with Zen server.
But the question is,
For the whole show.
did Citrix realize that they have to change to the service company?
They want to be in this cloud world, and they're trying to get there, but that's the only thing that I'm seeing that is sort of a direction. The other, I don't know. I don't know if they're aware of that.
Yeah. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
The other good thing that we saw at Synergy before with the CTP group, Mark came to the meeting, you know, he was there for an hour
An hour and a
and
half,
something with
yeah,
us, and the first thing he said was, I screwed up.
Yeah.
So that was good in terms of they realize they messed it up big time in the past couple of years. Now the question is, of course the first thing you have to do to fix something is to first, you know, say there is something wrong.
Some-
And they did it.
Sounds a
Now-
lot like Microsoft
Yeah.
during the Balmer days, you know?
But now, are they gonna fix it? Will they be able to pull it off
Or is it too late to fix?
or is it too late to fix?
I don't know, I screwed up and everybody else lost their job. Sorry,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm still
Basically,
here.
that was the message.
I'm still here.
Okay, I think they are lucky
I know,
they
man.
have Senap. But for me, it's the Senap technology which will stay because we will have always this old.
No, it's not only
Market
Senap, because they
share,
also
yeah.
have the go-to product
They
line
have the
and the
NetScaler
NetScaler,
now. That's
and they're
really
making
biggest.
good money with those 2 product
I mean,
lines. But I agree with you.
But I mean in the
Yeah,
long
yeah.
term.
No, but they buy products that are add-ons to their old products, right?
Well, it's still the revenue comes from the old products
Yeah.
big time.
Yeah.
Like no matter what they say, NetScaler makes money, sure it does. Go to meeting, go to everything, makes money, sure.
But
I
how
can
long
bet
will it make
Zenap
money?
makes
'Cause it's
everything
dying
and
product.
more, you know? So for how long can they keep milking the cow? That's the question.
So that's why they're adding new products, buying new companies, and
Yeah.
adding new products to
Yeah.
their old
Yeah.
stack.
But all they do is add it into the suite though, there's
Exactly.
no extra
Just-
cost.
But
It's
buying
just-
like
Exactly,
crazy
you're not
stuff
making any
is-
more money, yeah,
It's
exactly.
Well, that's the bottom line from Synergy, you know? Do you guys wanna add anything? All good?
Yeah, so let's see what's gonna be the next year.
Who won best of show, that's all I wanna know.